Hello and welcome to this episode of Ordinary Extraordinary. I'm here today with a very special guest, Caroline Caffrey. Caroline is a life and spiritual mentor and coach. She is a holistic practitioner as well as an angelic teacher. Caroline, you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you. Caroline, for people who don't know you, would you like to give them a little bit of information as well about yourself? Anything else to add to that?
Um, okay, I started out as a holistic practitioner and angel card reader. That was when I turned 40, that came back into my life. Then I progressed into coaching and mentoring, and now I'm combining both the spiritual aspect and the mentoring and coaching aspect because you can't have one without the other. I have been in business now for the last 14 years. Um, but I always say that unconsciously and unaware, I was born with the gift of connecting with the angels. It was just there. I didn't realize that's what it was as a child, but it kind of was there all along. It went away for a while. Well, I always say boys came in and the angels went out. And
Absolutely.
so, and then after a turning point in my life in my mid 30s, things started to change. And then in around my 40s, they came back in and turned my life around again. You know what I mean? So that's how I've got to where I have been now.
Okay, that's amazing, and thanks so much for sharing that. And today's episode, it's actually a very big topic that I believe a lot of people, including myself, we can resonate with. And it's literally called Start Again.
Yeah.
So, Caroline, what I suppose really, brought you to the place where you said, okay, you feel guided to start again?
Oh, I've had a few start again moments. um, for me, the first start again was after my marriage broke down, and the dream that I'd held all my life growing up was to get married, have kids, have family. That was it, and then we went through a lot to try and have a family, and we had gone down the IVF route. It hadn't worked. It had, my body kept rejecting, and I was told I'd never have a family. The stress of all of that and a couple of other things as well brought the marriage to an end. So it was a part of my identity, I suppose, of the dream that I had of myself died with that. And I had to start back over again as a single person. And about a year and a half into that, I became a mum. I had what I call my miracle child, because I wasn't supposed to be having a child. And so I had to start a whole new life again as a mum. There was a lot of different things happened there. And then at my 40th birthday, I always say it's like someone turned a switch on. And that's when I started again with my new career of the holistic therapies and the angels. And then then about 2 years ago, I had to do another start again. Well, actually, no, probably about in the last 6 months I start again because about 2 years ago everything changed again,
Okay.
and so I went through a start again. But this one was very different to the other ones, and it's I suppose that's why I was saying to you about the start again because we all have several start again moments in our life. Our life is not one clean, straight line. It's things happen, and then we have to start from that point, and then we have to start from the next one. And it's something that's become very important to me to talk about because I think as we get older, we think we are too late to start again, too
Yeah.
old to start again. I couldn't do that at my age, or I'm not able to, or that it's a it's a different world, and we have all these stories that we tell ourselves. And
Absolutely.
what I've really realized is that it doesn't matter whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, 90, you can start again. Every morning when you wake up is another opportunity to start over and start again.
I
And that is
absolutely
a
love that.
yeah, and it's such an important message to get across. But for my case, as I'm in my mid 50s now, well, mid to late 50s, which is
Oh, you're looking amazing for it, Anya. If anybody's watching us online, you look even better for it.
um, but it's like I particularly I'm working with women who are in their mid 40s onwards, who have possibly almost finished raising their families or have raised their families and have are reaching a different point in their life. And it's that whole thing of where do I go now? What do I do? Who am I now? Your whole identity has changed
Yeah.
again, and there's all these different things, and that's the women I'm working with now, the women who are realizing that they actually have another life to live. And I would be a big fan of Peter Crone, and he's always saying that, there are so many layers to your life. There's not just one story. It's like a book, and
I love
every
that. Yeah.
chapter is a new story, and so it's to think about your life like that and go, right, okay, what do I want the next story to be?
I love it. And I suppose it's about getting a bit of clarity, I suppose, and all that as well, as you say, like, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think also we underestimate how wise we are as we get older. We need to realize that we're not, when you're 20s, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, you haven't a clue. We don't have a clue. That's the great thing about it.
Oh,
We're not supposed to
exactly.
have a clue. It's supposed to be fun and experimenting and seeing what happens and discovering yourself. By the time you reach your mid 40s to mid 50s, you're kind of getting to know, you've known yourself and you're at a different stage in your life. And this is the stage where you kind of go, actually, I don't have to abide by anybody else's rule book anymore. This is my time, you know?
Absolutely.
And
So true.
but it's to come to that awareness that, you can, and you just need to make the decision about what it is you want, and then either get the help or the change or do whatever is necessary to start over. And
Yeah.
and it's funny, like, this yourself, when you start looking for something and you're interested in something, all of a sudden you find all the information, the people, etc. And when I kind of went through, like, 2 years ago, just to give a little bit of backstory as to what I mean
Yeah.
by this, 2 years ago, I had two very healthy parents and healthy brother, and everything was fine. And within the space of 48 hours, everything changed.
Yeah.
I had found out that my brother had cancer. I had found out that my
Right.
mother my mother had fallen on the stairs, had damaged her spine, and could
Yeah.
possibly be left in a wheelchair. And the life that I had had suddenly went spiraling,
Of
and
course.
like the
Yeah.
rug was pulled out from like all my I felt all my security.
Yeah. Huge.
We had my family, we were all safe, and we were, and then that went, and then it's like as if someone was, when you see them pulling, knitting, they'd be pulling the thread and
Mm.
unraveling the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's what I felt for the next 18 months. I felt someone was just unraveling my life.
God. And that is so tough. And as you say, like, I mean, it's never a right time for anything like that. And I know it's like
Yeah,
we get the strength from somewhere, even though, like, you don't think you can, or you're going through something horrific, obviously, but even to have one of those things, but to have a few things happening at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah. And it was
You
just,
know,
there was a
very,
year, and it was like a roller coaster of different things that happened. Now, please don't get me wrong, everybody is fine. But it
thank
all
God for that.
happened
Yeah.
so
Good.
close together.
Yeah.
And we went from everyone healthy to a whole lot of different things happening. And
Yes.
it also went through a time where Kieran was growing up. He's 21 now.
Oh,
And
congratulations.
yeah, and he was going off out into the world discovering his life. And
Yeah.
there was a part of me, and I couldn't articulate it, but my friend did it for me. And she said, "You're grieving the relationship you used to have with them, because that relationship is finished and there's a new one starting." And this is what I mean by the old was all unraveling, and I was very resentful
Of
because
course.
I loved
Absolutely.
the old very much.
Yeah. You were comfortable with it. It was
Oh,
good. It
you
was
said the
working.
key
So,
word. The key
yeah.
word. I was extremely comfortable. I had gotten
Yeah.
very comfortable, and I now understand that, how I use the word God and angels, and that
Sure.
whichever terminology anyone
Yeah.
wants. But when we get too comfortable, it means we're not growing.
Yeah.
And
The safety net.
I always remember Bob Proctor saying something that resonated so much, that if you are not growing,
Yeah.
then you are disintegrating slowly and you're going in the wrong
True.
direction. And so that's what being in that comfort zone, albeit lovely in the moment, that is the fear. If we stay here, we start to disintegrate
So
and we
true.
don't even know we're doing it. And so
Absolutely.
sometimes the universe comes in and goes, we need to rattle this cage, we need to shake things up, we
Mhm.
need to wake her up or him up or whatever the case may be. And we see this in our life. You know, we see somebody had maybe a heart attack, someone had cancer,
Of
and they
course.
realized that they weren't actually living up to
Yes,
that point.
absolutely.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And so they
so
have to
true.
start over and start again,
And
you know.
Caroline, thanks so much for sharing all that as well. And like recently now, I had another incredible guest, Ashley, on Minister for Happiness, as she goes under as well. And
Yeah,
she had something similar like to impart. And she said, I mean, obviously, for having her great days and all the rest of it, but something to the extent of, we do learn from all, I suppose, trials and tribulations where things are quite,
absolutely.
not so good,
Yeah,
we'll be honest. I mean,
yeah.
none of us want it. But again, it's like what you're saying as well about growth and, obviously we don't want it. Nobody wants to be in those situations, but we do get that strength into learning from challenging times, to say the least, isn't it?
Absolutely. You discover who you are, you discover
Yeah.
gifts and talents you didn't even know you had, you discover how resilient you can be, how strong you can be. Um, and I think I always think of we're all born with everything we need, but we don't always need it all the time unless something happens to bring it out. It's like someone with, I say a mechanic with a toolbox,
Yes,
and
yeah.
he doesn't use all the tools all the time, but when something in particular happens, he has the tool to deal with it. And he pulls it out when he needs it. I think we're very much the same. We don't realize
Mhm.
how resilient we are, how strong we are, how calm we can be in a crisis until we're put in the crisis. We're not living in crisis every day. It's only when we're put into it, and
Absolutely.
like I even, this even down to when my dad ended up having to go into a nursing home.
Oh, God,
I
yeah.
just, no, he's doing brilliantly, but
Thankfully,
that
yeah.
whole thing, I went into overdrive. He was going to the best nursing home, and like this is where I do all my work with my clients. I do the visualization and the
Yeah.
gratitude and all the rest of it. And you would have
Amazing.
done gratitude with me over the years as
Yes,
well.
and I'll tell
And
you what, it's so grateful and it does work.
I'm a
Beautifully.
huge advocate for gratitude, but like that, I had just went into this is what was going to happen. This is how it was going to happen, and did all that because you but suddenly it's not about you anymore. It's about somebody else. So you pull all your resources out of you, and while that was absolutely wonderful and necessary at the
Of
time,
course.
what I didn't realize was I wasn't looking after myself.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're in the carer role, isn't it? And if
Yeah.
you're empathetic
Oh,
and you're
you
giving,
don't even
yeah,
realize that you're not looking after yourself. You're so
100%.
focused on everybody else, or what
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
look at it's a beautiful thing to do it, but not at the cost of you and your health.
And
And
that is
that's
so
where
true.
it went unraveling for me. Um, and this is where I suppose part of the starting over part is building the foundation that supports you no matter what is happening in your life.
That is so important. I feel like where were you for myself about a year or so ago? Honestly, something similar. There was a lot going on.
Yeah.
For myself, I suppose a random one. I had a neck of femur fracture from running. That sounds a bit small, doesn't it? But yeah, I
Oh,
know. And but I was used to doing stuff so dynamic
yeah,
change, and I had to rejig. And then I had family members. Thankfully, they're fine now, but they were in hospital at the time, more than one. So it was a lot. And
yeah,
I'll be honest, it's like you do get the energy, but it's like, I suppose, the analogy of the bottomless well, isn't it?
yeah,
You keep giving, but again, you give to the level of you're empty, and then it manifests in other ways, or it shows up in other ways,
yeah,
isn't it, as well. And I was listening to, it was actually a Mel Robbins podcast about carers burnout.
yeah,
I was like, bing, bing, bing. And, even being fatigued a little bit afterwards because you're like, I suppose your reserves are quite low initially, that you do need time and it's
yeah,
okay to sleep and rest. And,
yeah,
without saying, oh, I should be doing more, just actually taking that time
yeah,
without feeling guilty to do
yeah.
it as well. But yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
hear you. It's like trying to drive a car with an empty tank.
Yeah.
And
Doesn't go
what do you
good.
end up doing? Breaking the actual engine.
Absolutely. And you've
Yeah,
mentioned as well the amazing Bob Proctor. I mean,
yeah.
absolutely, he was just fantastic as well. So he'd have been a guy I'd have focused in on. I don't know, were you blessed to work with him, I believe, as well?
Yes, I was Procter Gallagher consultant. Now I have left them
Incredible.
since Bob left.
Of
It's
course, yeah.
the whole thing has broken up to different things, and it just wasn't the
Yeah.
same without him. Um, but Bob was. the most extraordinary man and such a wise man, but like the rest of us. And it's, he's had, he went through several start over. Like Bob went from nothing and owing more than what he used to say. I was
Yeah.
earning 4,000, but I owed 6,000. I'd have to
Yeah.
work a whole year and a half and not and just hand over everything. So
Yeah.
he knew what it was like to have nothing.
It's
But
huge.
what he learned was, and this is even though I studied with him, and this is something I would like to say to everybody. We
Amazing.
all know what we should be doing.
Yeah.
We just don't always do it.
So
And
true.
so it wasn't that I didn't know what to do to help myself, it's that I forgot to do it. And I prioritized everything else rather than looking after the foundation that would allow me to continue to do what I wanted to do. And Bob always said that. He said, your daily routine, your daily practice, and that's like, your meditation and your gratitude and your journaling and your goal setting and your kind of your vision for where you're going because you needed to have something to direct you. But and it can be other things like your daily routine could be you taking your walk and having that time to clear your head or whatever it is that is good for you. It's when we stop doing those things that we start to break down. They're our fuel, they're
Yeah.
our petrol. And if we don't put the petrol in every day into the engine, then the engine breaks down. And he was a real advocate that for daily routine and foundation. And it's something now that having gone through this again the last 2 years, I realized that we all need to build a foundation in our life, habits, routines, and rituals that feed us continuously, no matter what is going on, that we know we cannot function unless we do these few things every day. And
I'd
things
make a
can be
note of
big
that. It's
things.
great.
Hmm?
Yeah. Habits, routines, and rituals. I'm even making notes here of myself.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's just,
because
yeah.
we are, as human beings, we are creatures of habit. But our habits also create what's showing up in our life every day. So if we're in the habit of taking care of ourselves, then
Mhm.
things that we need to take care of us show up. People, opportunities, time, space. But if we're in the habit of draining ourselves, then things that drain us will keep showing up because that's what the whole law of vibration, the
Mhm.
law of cause and effect, which is the law of all laws, is whatever you give out comes back. And
Yeah.
a lot of the time we're not aware of what we're giving out. You
So
know,
true. We're on
we're so
autopilot,
distracted.
really.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
distracted. Yeah, this is where on this round of starting again, I'm very much becoming an advocate of building that foundation that supports you no matter what you're going through.
That's beautiful. And even just the tips now, honestly, I'm learning so much from you as well. And a lot of it's resonating too. Because I'm like, yeah, I've kind of, gone through it. And even as you said, when one thing was going like pear-shaped, the next thing was there was like a whole thing.
Yeah,
And even in, I don't know, is it religion and is it in other beliefs as well? It's like in giving, we receive basically. I think it's from Martin
absolutely.
Logan's, isn't it? And
Yes,
even with energy, what is energy? I suppose energy
is
cannot
everything.
be created or destroyed. It changes from one form to another. So
Yeah.
what frequency are we on? It just, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
makes
and
all the
that's it.
sense.
That's the key thing. It's whatever frequency you're on is the frequency you're receiving on. Do you know how they always you hear someone saying, "Oh, I keep attracting the same guy or the same girl over and over." That's
History
because
repeating itself.
because that's the frequency you're on, and until you change the frequency, you're going to keep getting the same things. It's like the radio channel station. If you're looking for a lyric and you keep tuning into 2FM, you're never going to hear a lyric.
Of course,
You
yeah.
have to tune into lyric to hear it, and you have to tune it to FM to hear that. So it's about recognizing that if I keep doing the same thing I've
Yeah.
always done, I'll keep getting the same thing I've always got. So part of that starting over is to look at the identity,
Yeah. It's huge. The
the self
idea.
identity. Look at
Yeah.
I I remember one of my mentors, Kathleen Cameron, saying, "You are the cause and the effect of everything in your life, whether you're consciously aware of it or not."
It's
So
huge.
if you don't like what's in your life, then you have to change the
Hmm.
cause energy from you so that the effect changes coming back to you.
That is so powerful. And even at that, what you were saying there, Caroline, a lot of time we're aware of things that maybe need to be changed. And I don't know, we don't seem to do it for whatever reason, like all of
Yeah.
us. I mean, why do you feel like, I suppose this is maybe it's a big question, like perhaps as well, but why do you feel a lot of people, men, women alike, struggle with, I suppose, that, starting again? Like why do we sort of know what to do maybe on some level and not do it, I
Well, I
suppose.
think
Really.
for the struggle to start
Yeah,
again, sometimes is we don't think we are able to. We think it's too late. It's
belief
too
system.
hard. Um, and I think especially as we get older, I feel like, it depends on what you've gone through that you might feel like I just don't have it in me to do it again. And sometimes we don't even feel like we want to. And that's it, and that's where we have to start working on the self, because until we change, nothing
So
changes.
true, isn't it? Yeah.
And then it is the thing of you realize that you do want to start again, but you don't know where to start or how to
Yeah.
start. Because I always say to people, remember this, the one thing we never studied in anything in school or at home was ourself.
So true, isn't it? And these are subjects that you'd imagine should be
Yeah.
core like subjects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you go back to school, we studied everybody else in the world,
Yeah.
every other leader, teacher, everybody, never ourselves. So the person we know least about is ourselves.
And that's huge, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh, listen, if you don't know you, then how do you know what you need to change?
Yeah. So we need to get to know ourselves, isn't
Yeah.
it? Get the
So
foundation.
the whole journey of self-discovery. So starting over really is self-discovery. And that self-discovery is a continuous journey, because who you were last year, who you are now compared to who you were last year is different to who you were
100%.
5 years, 10 years. And again, with each passing day, you're evolving, you're growing, you're changing. So it's a continuous journey of self discovery and
And you know
self
what?
awareness. You know what I mean?
And that makes sense. And even earlier when you were saying about like identity and all the rest of it, and it's
Oh,
huge, but a lot of people might say, so what are you doing now? What's, usually it's, what's your career? What's this? What's the other?
yes. You
But
see, we
if
have a
you get rid of those,
misunderstanding of
yes,
what identity is. And like,
exactly.
even if if you meet someone and you go,
Yeah.
tell me about yourself. Oh, I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher. Not anything about myself.
Yourself, it's
It's
just,
all the
yeah,
positions and the jobs and the titles and all the rest of it. Like, I'm married or I'm single, like
yeah,
a parent or not a parent.
100%. Yeah.
But it's like, but who are you?
And that's a deep question to ask, isn't it? Because we're
It
all,
is.
as you say, attached, and you'd hear stories where men more so, I think, but men and women, like possibly when they retire, they've lost their sense of identity because that's what their core aspect of
Yeah.
who they are is what they believe to be,
Yeah.
It's
You see,
huge.
when we attach our identity to something outside of
Yeah,
us and that is taken away from us, then we don't know who we are. And we put our
really.
identity into somebody else's hands.
That is
And
huge.
yeah, and you see that sometimes in marriages. In one or two cases, you can see it where, and I've seen it with friends of mine who
First,
did
yeah.
everything for their children, and I'm not against that, but got so caught up in looking after their children that they completely forgot about themselves. And when all the children grew up and left home, they looked in the mirror, and I remember one woman looked in the mirror and said, I looked in the mirror one morning and I didn't know the woman who was looking back at me.
Oh,
I
that's
didn't know who she was, because everything I thought I was gone,
huge.
because she put everything of her into her children.
Yeah. And now they
And
were doing their things, I suppose.
absolutely, and that's what
Yeah.
we have. That's what you have children to
Yeah.
rear them, to let them go, and there was no. But she forgot to look after herself, so she had to go and figure out who she was now,
Okay, so to
and
yeah,
what did she want to do with the rest of her life.
starting from
And
ground zero, yeah.
yeah, and she went through a major grieving process, and it was something that you had said on one of our conversations about
Yeah.
grief, even if it's not death. We go through several grieving processes in our life, and it
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily involve death of anybody. I think, and that's a misunderstanding I do think about grief, that it's only when you
True.
physically lose someone, but you can lose a friend, maybe a life, or maybe something happened and the friendship fell apart, and you're grieving that relationship, as well as the end of a marriage is like a grief as much. Like
That's
that's what I
huge.
felt in my own marriage. That it was like I was grieving
The loss.
the loss of the marriage, the loss of the identity I had as being married, because that was very important to me.
Of
Because
course.
growing up, that was what I wanted.
Yeah,
You know, so
absolutely. As you
so
say.
so when we lose something that we had worked so hard for, that is grief.
And that's a good way of summarizing grief,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Because could be any aspect of life, and you could be going through something similar to perhaps
Yeah.
like a bereavement, or as you say,
Yes.
obviously I know
Yeah.
it's so final, but it's all relative. It's all equally important how we're
Yeah.
feeling, how we approach it, and
Yeah.
maybe it's transition from the old to the new. Maybe the new is better sometimes, perhaps I don't know, but
Well, the new is
yeah,
always better.
yeah. So
And
like
it's always better and it's always different because there's a better version of you going into it.
I love it, and we're just holding on to something else, but it doesn't maybe
Yeah.
exist if we're living in the past. We're
Yeah.
not
And that's
truly
what
present.
makes change difficult. And
Yeah,
that's why we find it hard to do the things that help us grow because we're trying to hold on to who we used to be.
it's so true, isn't it? And that's not the same, and it doesn't
Yeah.
exist at
Yeah.
this stage. And
And, that, and that's the thing. We're holding on to something that doesn't exist anymore and we're trying to move forward.
so we're not moving.
Exactly. And then
Yeah,
you have somebody go, I feel stuck because I'm caught between two worlds and I'm not allowing myself out of one to go into the other,
yeah.
you
And
know.
that's huge, like, isn't it? The amount of times it's like, was it Albert Einstein saying something to the level of to cycle, you have to keep moving. I mean, if you're trying to cycle a bike, otherwise, what you do, you fall over.
Exactly. And that is life. And I think that's what we need to understand. Like life is a continuous evolution of cycles. That's why we have the sun and the moon go in a cycle, the year goes in a cycle, the day goes in a cycle, because that's how everything does, and all of our whole life is a cycle, you
It's
know.
true.
And
The only thing constant is change. Yeah,
it
this
is.
is it.
Sure, if you
You
think about it, like from the moment we were born, I always remember Dr. Wayne Dyer saying this in a, in
yeah.
a, in
I
a
love Wayne
conversation.
Dyer.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
amazing
He
guy.
said, he said, I am not the man. He said, I had hair once, he used to go like this. So he said, but like, I can't, the version you see of me here today, he said, is not the version of me who was there yesterday or the day before, and he would show the whole lot of photographs of when he was a baby. He said,
Yeah.
they're all just versions of me.
Yes.
And every day is a new version. And that's why every day is a start over, a start again.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's such a really good way to look at it. And even at that, what we resist, if we're resisting something, we're staying stuck. What you resist persists, isn't
Yeah.
it? And
That's
like,
it.
and
Yeah.
even that, I suppose, how do we start? I suppose, but once, is it Romney? I think is it Romney, I think, who said it, but something to the extent of, oh, I can't see the path. And then it's like, well, once you start walking on a path, the path becomes clear. It's like
Yeah.
driving at nighttime, if you have the full lights on,
Yeah.
you don't see far away, but you see what you need to see for
See,
the next turn.
yes. And I think that's probably a part of the human fear is
Yes.
that we want the whole journey and all the guarantees with it.
We do, don't we? We want the full
And
thing.
when we can't see that, the fear in the body, the natural fear in the body, which is now on overdrive compared to what it was created for, is kind of going, if I don't know what it is, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And I'm always brought back to, this is going back when Kieran was
Yeah.
small now, but I think it was the Goonies they were called. They were the family in the cave age and that, and the father was afraid to go beyond a point that they just knew. He was just didn't want to go there, and the young fella came in. He went, "No, there's a whole other world over there." And he goes, "No, no, 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 no." And he
Perfect.
couldn't
Yeah.
see it, so he was afraid to go outside what he knew.
Yeah.
But that was a perfect representation of how we live our life. In the
Absolutely.
comfort zone is when we live in the square patch of life that we know, and we're afraid to go beyond it. Even when someone tells us what beyond us is better, we're still, oh, I
Yeah.
don't
We're
know. And
staying
then
there.
the
Yeah.
fear comes up, and that's what happens. So that's why change is sometimes difficult. And like I would say to you, and I would still say, I
Yeah.
don't like
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. People resist it, don't
And
we?
then, I remember saying that to one of my mentors, I don't like change. He said, well, I got news for you. You're changing every day, so you're not, like, get
The
used to it.
second.
You know what I mean? You're delusional if you think you're not changing. You
So
think, and I
true.
remember him saying, you think you have control,
Yeah.
and you don't.
Yeah.
What you have is the ability to adapt. And that's what makes it easier or hard when you're
Exactly how
stuck.
we react to it,
Yeah,
isn't it? Really is under
absolutely.
control.
If you can come into each day going, I do not want to do anything new today. I want to just do what I've always done. And
Yeah.
then you can see your life disintegrating very slowly,
Yeah.
but it's disintegrating. And then that shows up. And this is where I bring in the whole,
Mm.
emotional path and spiritual path and the physical path all connect. When your life starts to disintegrate, your body starts to disintegrate with it.
It makes sense, doesn't
It
it?
can be an ache or a pain. It can be, you know,
Mm.
sciatica, or it can be wrists not working, or your voice going, or your sight going. And it's not all of a sudden, it's not one big thing, but over
Yeah,
a period of time.
natural.
Yeah. And what I noticed, and this is going to really, the moment I stopped looking to the future,
Yeah,
my sight started to go. Now I don't
that's
mean I'm blind,
yeah.
but I
No,
just
yeah.
noticed that my sight was starting to go all of a sudden overnight.
You were saying, God, what's going on? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it was I had just in that moment I hadn't connected the dots. But when I sat back and looked at them, and I wasn't willing to look to the future, so I didn't need the sight for it.
That's powerful. I mean, isn't it so true? I mean, how like things, I mean, even like stress and things building up. I mean, obviously the good things as well, of course, but
Mm.
it can manifest, I suppose, emotionally, behaviorally,
Oh,
physically, spiritually as well. You
yeah.
say, it's
I have a quote that I always speak. Your body is speaking to you, but are you listening to it?
it'll shout louder when we don't listen, isn't it?
And then one day it'll pull the rug out from underneath you to get your
Yeah,
attention, which is what happened to me. In that everything started to fall apart. I ended up in and having two surgeries and different things.
Caroline,
And it was
yeah,
like when I didn't stop to take care of myself,
yeah.
the universe said we have to stop her and pull
Jump
the rug.
in. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. We're pushing to her. Something comes in to
Something
say,
had, and like you hear
yeah,
that, and so many people are saying, "Oh, I had aches and pains, but I hadn't time to deal with them." And then
yeah, keep
suddenly,
going.
yeah,
Yeah.
keep going until something stops you.
And then you have to stop and it
Yeah,
might take longer. It's so true, isn't
and
it?
you
Like,
have
what
to
do you have time
reassess
to,
life.
yeah.
And it's only then, and I think that was one of the things that did come out of COVID. It wasn't not a good thing to come out of COVID, but what it did do was it got every one of us to stop.
Oh yeah, literally, yeah. Time slowed down in that
And
bracket.
the
It did.
amount of people who got an opportunity to look at their lives, what was working, what wasn't working, what they were not getting, what they were,
Yeah.
working, and the amount of people who did not go back to the job they had.
The amount of changes was
Oh, it
huge. I
was
mean, I've seen it
huge.
as well, and phenomenally
Absolutely.
huge. Yeah.
And it was a realization of I didn't even know I was missing my children because I was so caught up in the norm of the routine and just going to work and blah, blah,
Yeah.
until I was at home with them and I realized that they had grown up under my nose and I hadn't seen it or stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and just even to hear
the
the birds and everything else that you wouldn't normally hear with traffic. Do you know, I mean, just even
yeah.
those little things, it just
But
really
you
can
even saw the earth itself
huge
started to clear, the
feeling.
air started to clear,
Yeah,
the animals and nature started to go blah, because when we're on that treadmill or that's what
yeah.
the
Little hamster in a wheel
hamster
can
wheel, thank you, hamster wheel,
But there
that's
you
it.
go.
Yeah, well, we're on
Same
that
for
hamster
today.
wheel. We're so
Yeah,
busy doing. Our head is down, do. We're not looking where we're going
yeah. It's
and
so
recognizing
true.
that we're going nowhere. They're actually digging a hole for ourselves and going deeper into it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the 24/7 approach to be, give a busy person something to do, but we're not built to be constantly on the go. I mean, we
No.
do, like me, if you look
No.
back at caveman times, cave women times,
Yeah.
we were meant to take a bit of a step back to actually nurture, to relax. And even with the seasons, I mean, if you're going into winter, you're going into
Oh,
hibernation,
I
it
think
doesn't
if
work.
we can,
Yeah,
yeah, if we can really start to look at nature and
yeah,
recognize the reason that nature can keep growing is because it takes time to rest.
absolutely. And if we can take that advice ourselves, me included,
Yeah.
believe me,
All of us.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
We are human beings. We're
Yeah,
here. We're being here. We have to be in order to have and to do. But it's to remember that the formula for life is to be first of all, then do so that you can have.
it's so
But we
true.
do. We're doing the doers. But if we can't, if we're not being first of all, then we're just all we're doing is digging. You know.
It's so powerful. And like, I suppose with everything as well, for people, like if people who are listening in now or watching and saying, God,
Mm,
yeah, that resonates and maybe they feel broken at the moment.
mm.
What is the first thing that you'd recommend for somebody to focus on? I know you're saying yourself, but I mean, where can they start? Even if you're like, I really don't know where to start. I need that guidance. What's my first step?
My number one go to is start off with daily gratitude.
Daily gratitude, love it.
Because I'll tell you what daily gratitude does. It helps you become aware of what's in your life that is there. Because sometimes when we're in that stuck place or we're in that place where
Huge.
the world being pulled out from underneath us and we don't know where we're coming or going, we can't see any good. we're kind of going, nothing's right, this is all wrong. So we
Yeah.
need to go back to recognizing what is in our life.
Yeah.
And from the most basic things of that first cup of tea in the morning to being able to get out of the bed, to have the people that you love around you, to just getting out of the house and get for a walk or going to work, having a job to go to, even if it's not
Yeah.
your dream job, right now it's to providing you with what you need. And it's about looking at your life in a different perspective. And I would recommend, if I can
Hmm.
reach it without
Yeah, no, this is great.
The Magic by
Yeah.
Rhonda Byrne.
Oh, I love it.
And
I
I
must reread it.
honestly, I do think that out of all the books she'd written, this is
Yeah.
the absolute best because
Magic. I
this
love it.
helps you to see your life from a space of gratitude and appreciation, helps you to remember all that you do have, and that then makes you feel better. And remember, we said when you change how you feel, you're changing your frequency to when you feel better, better things come in and it grows and grows. So a starting point for anyone would be gratitude. And then I would say then is getting a journal, getting a pen,
Mm.
and writing about what's going on in your head. And when you write it down, ask yourself, where is that coming from? So it's like not just writing for the sake of writing, but for every answer you give, you ask another question of it. And why is that? Like, what's going on with me today? I'm just feeling crap today. Why? What happened today? And and then getting down to, and how is this serving me?
Powerful. I love that question. That's something for
How
me
is
to
this
reflect
serving
on.
me? Because sometimes what we do is we're in the habit of giving out. And it's only when we, stop and look at it and we go, I need to stop doing this.
Yeah, it's
And
so
then
true.
there comes the self-awareness. And
Love
it's
it.
from that point. So, and again, we go back to what we said earlier on. We were never taught about ourselves. So we don't know ourselves. So through that introspective, reflective journaling each day, we get to discover who we are. We get to discover what makes us happy, what doesn't, what we do want, what we don't want. If you do not know what you want, write down all the things in your life that you don't want any more of.
I love that. And then at least we're more aware of it as well
So
to
then,
really.
if, you just say,
Yeah,
I don't want to be in an unhappy relationship. So what do I want to be in a happy relationship?
of course.
Or on
Yeah.
my own. I don't
Yeah.
want to be in the job that I'm in. What I want to be in a better job. What kind of a so and then comes well, what kind of a job? Or what do I
Yeah.
want? If and go with the whole thing of not figuring out how to do it, but just asking them, if I could have anything I want or do anything I want, what would it be?
Yeah.
And
Like there's no
remember that,
limits on it.
yeah, no limit, because sometimes we think that when we do this, it has to be about career. But it doesn't always. It can be to remember that I used to love, say, painting in school, or I used to love
Yeah.
music, and it's about the job is actually not the problem. It's that you're not allowing yourself to have any fun in your life, and you're blaming the job for it. But if you bring back in something that fulfills you, that your job allows you to pays for it. I always say, look, think of it. I'm grateful for my job because it pays for my hobby of X, Y, and Z.
It's so
You know
huge.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So you change how you look at the job. So you're now in a state of gratitude because the job now allows you to go off and play with an orchestra and travel the world. And it was never about the job. It was about that you weren't feeding a desire in your soul.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
when you
The
open that
void
space,
then, yeah, as you
yeah,
say, and if there's a void,
yeah,
it can obviously be,
absolutely.
yeah,
And but in order to
toxic.
discover that void, you have to
Yeah.
discover yourself, and it's that
True.
self-reflection, going, keep asking those questions, get to know yourself,
So
dig
important,
deep.
isn't it?
Mm.
And do stuff that you love doing. And I suppose then when you figure out what you love doing, as you said, be it hobbies, be it whatever, more doors open and more experiences become in, and
Yeah,
it's
because
so
your
exciting.
energy and
Yeah,
frequency changes.
it's huge.
And so when you rise up to the frequency that you want to be on, what you want to attract is already there waiting for you.
And that's true. And I suppose if somebody was trying to rebuild from a fear approach, they'd probably know more so, like I suppose they'd recognize the fear approach, wouldn't they, in the sense that there'd be some resistance or
Oh,
something else,
absolutely.
isn't
And
it?
it's also to ask, what am I really afraid of?
Yeah.
You know?
It's showing up for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
For
And just but and I worked with an amazing mentor in England for a couple of months, and her whole thing was learning to sit with our fear, our worries, our doubts until we become comfortable with them, and then we can work through them and pass on. our biggest thing is that we don't want to face our fears. We keep pushing it away. But when we
Yeah.
do that, it's like an anchor that keeps holding us there. But when we sit with it and deal with it and actually see it for what it is, we realize
Mhm.
that it's a thought. It isn't
Yeah.
actually a thing.
100%.
And we work our way through the fear so it no longer has the power over us, you
And
know?
it's a lot of time, it's the fear that we build, it gets, as you say, it gets bigger. It's like little monster, now it's this
Yeah,
huge thing,
yeah,
or we're perceiving it. And usually, like, or even it's fear of the outcome, and the outcome, like, it mightn't even be as bad or mightn't be bad at all, but what we perceive it to be, it builds and
yeah.
gets
Because the
bigger,
longer
isn't
we
it?
hold on to the fear, the
Yeah.
more it grows in our mind, the
So
more
true,
power
isn't
it
it?
has over us. Yeah. So like it's that whole expression of I don't want to open that Pandora's box in case I can't
Yeah.
handle what comes out of it.
It's
And
true, isn't it?
when you do start work through it and you get through it, you kind of go, that actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was worse. And it's our thinking that causes all our problems. It's our thinking is this, our solutions and our, no, you know, it's our thinking that caused the problem and it's our thinking that will give us the solution.
Amazing. It's so true. And
Mm.
even at that, I suppose a lot of people were in, I suppose, likes of survival mode, isn't it, as well, and
Oh,
especially during
yeah,
pandemic. And like, I mean, there's times if you go back to, I suppose, again, the cavemen, the cave
yeah,
women, all that. And of course, yeah, the caveman's going out. He's trying to source the food. Women's trying to protect the house, and obviously
mm,
the caregiver, the
yeah,
children, everything else, and fight or flight mode. But again, with everything, I suppose, 24/7, be it, we're switched on online. We're getting loads of bings, loads of messages, loads of bright lights.
yeah,
24/7 places are open or
yeah.
instant is a gratification. Our mind, I suppose, doesn't, as you say, wind down, rest. It doesn't have time to, I suppose,
I,
are we
yeah, oh,
constantly in fight or flight or
yeah,
survival?
I agree with you. But our problem is, you see, we're
Mhm.
exposed to danger now, every
Yeah,
minute of every hour. Like, I just think back to, I can't, was it Christmas Day or New Year's Day with
yeah,
the shooting in Sydney,
yeah.
not Christmas Day.
That was, yeah, it was over
Now,
Christmas. Yeah.
that was
Okay.
as it was happening. We
Live.
were all getting it on our phones. It
Yeah,
was interrupting on the television, a
everywhere.
interruption, news headline. So we're always being exposed to danger.
Yeah, to that
Our
level.
news, unfortunately, they always say bad news sells. Unfortunately,
True.
now we're exposed to bad news 24/7.
Yeah,
And so then we're always in, oh God, oh God, oh God mode.
yeah.
And
Fight
then,
or flight. Yeah,
and we're literally, but we're in that tension and fear all the time. Our body can't handle that. Our mind can't handle that. So then someone comes in and goes, do you want to try gratitude? You go, oh, I got gratitude. I can't. With all the things that are happening in the world, how could I be grateful? So we're in that cycle and it's to get us out of it. So yes, my other number one thing would be take time off of that thing.
I know, and that's something I need to work on as well because, of course, when we're designed, isn't it like
It's
something that we've researched, it'll be pulled in on that to keep
Yeah,
us in the
it's
loop, and you
addictive.
say,
And
yeah,
we're all, and people say, oh, I have an addictive personality. We all have an addictive personality. We just different addictions. You know what
true,
I
isn't
mean?
it?
Like, I have an addiction personality. I have books of my addiction. Like I kind of every
That's a
week it's
good
like,
one, out of.
yeah, oh, yeah, it is and it isn't. Like, you know what I mean? They're piling up and you haven't got to read them yet. But like I think we all
Yeah,
do. We all have something that
yeah,
so like it's about recognizing that some addictions are good for you, some addictions are lovely. But too much of anything is not good for us, no matter what it is, be food
bit
or
of a
anything else.
balance. Yeah.
And while while this is an amazing invention,
Hmm.
and I don't want to discredit it, it's an amazing invention. Like, think about it. We can talk to someone. You're in what, Cork? I'm up here in Waterford. We can
That's
have a
mad. Yeah,
conversation. How fantastic is that? The
exactly.
world
Yeah.
has suddenly gone from something beyond how big we can fit it into a box now.
Literally, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Furthest point in the
amazing.
world. Yeah.
And we can learn from teachers from all over the world. Again, I have worked with teachers from Australia, from New Zealand, from America, from England, and all from the comfort of my own
Incredible.
home.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. So they're all the pros to it. The cons is then when we
Yeah.
can't take a break from it. So, like
Yeah.
everything else, it's like look at what you're doing. This again, this is where self-reflection comes in, and it's only when you sit and get to know yourself and become the observer of yourself, and really kind of look at how you are showing up in your life. Not as a judgment, just to know. Like,
Yeah,
because
awareness,
sometimes,
isn't it?
like, we're unaware of what we're doing. We're
Yeah.
unaware of what we're eating. I always say to the lads, you know those big bags of share bags of
Oh
crisps.
yeah, I think they're getting smaller. I like to think
Well,
they're.
there's definitely somebody else is eating them and I'm eating them anyway. But
Say no
like,
more.
it's where you've gotten to the bottom of it and you're actually unconsciously eating.
Yeah.
We're unconsciously scrolling. We're
Yes, absolutely.
unconsciously just glued into, and the brain is just taking all of this in
Yeah, it's too
as
much.
real, and it's
Yeah.
as happening to us now. And it's been that awareness of it, of what am I exposing myself to. And for some people it's not that, it's something that's in their home. We
Exactly.
have to be
More.
we have
Yeah.
to be aware that there are people who are exposed to that in their home,
Of course.
and
Yeah.
that's having a huge impact in on their lives. You know what I mean? So it's
If you're in
this is
that
where,
zone and that
yeah,
frequency as well. Yeah.
yeah, this is where self-reflection is so important. If you don't know yourself, you can't change yourself. And it's through that process of getting to know yourself and getting to know who you are and what you want, and recognizing your current identity and asking yourself, is that who I want to be?
Yeah.
And if it isn't, then you can change it. Because what I love is
Mhm.
we were not born with an identity. We were
No,
not born with habits. We were not born. We learned them all. So
for
if we
sure.
learned all of them, it means we can learn new ones too.
Absolutely. It's like, as you say, just like changing
Yeah.
the program or what we believe to be true, and
Yeah,
from our own vision point, from our own perception, where we're
absolutely.
looking. You
Bobby
know.
used to always say, you don't fix the problem, you just find a better way of doing it. So we spend an awful lot of time trying to fix the old way instead of saying, actually, just let's go start the new way. So
Yeah.
if we just, a very, very simple one, we just say is you realize that you're not getting up early enough in the morning to start your day right. Rather than trying to fight with yourself about, just start tomorrow morning saying, okay, I'm going to get up a half an hour earlier and work it back. Rather than giving out to yourself about not getting up on time,
Yeah.
just
Being too
change.
hard. Yeah.
Just
Gentle
change.
approach.
I always did. We did it with you do it with babies. You try and get them to sleep on a bit, at least
Yeah.
10 minutes
Wake
every
up, go, wake
morning,
up.
and going to bed 10 minutes early every night. So you just
Yeah.
but we haven't, that process hasn't changed for how we bring in change. What happens is, 1st of January we're going to eat lettuce, we're going to run the roads, we're going to go to the gym, and we want to do everything all at once, huge, instead of small little habits.
Yeah. Bite-sized chunks.
James Clear's book Atomic Habits, small
Okay. Yeah.
habits done on a consistent basis builds the compound impact, which has a better long-term result.
And I suppose if we're getting like the whole cake at once instead of one slice of it, we're getting too much information, isn't it? As you're saying, like with just the small bits or the small habits, just doing it
If
gradually,
you
not
make it,
overwhelmed.
if you look at it this way, we've 12
Yeah.
months in the year, and if you say, I'm going to add one new habit per month.
Yeah.
So for the first month, I'm just going to walk for 10 minutes a day. Just get out in the fresh air, not walking to get fit and lose 10 stone. No, I'm just going to walk for 10 minutes a day to get fresh air. And I commit to doing that every
Sure.
single day, and learning to make a commitment and follow through. That's a huge one to do. And then at the end of that month, when you've mastered that one, you add another little thing. And it could be, I'm going to do gratitude for 10 minutes every day. So I'm going to walk for 10 minutes. I'm going to do gratitude for 10 minutes. And
Amazing. Yeah.
again, so it's not about 5 hours out of my day to do a routine.
Exactly. Because who can fit that in? I mean,
It,
maybe one or two people every so often, not that
you
much.
what
Just,
you'd
yeah.
be amazed is what, as you more you do it, that you go out for 10 minutes, but you've gone so far you have to come back you're gone for 20. But
Yeah.
but the intention and the commitment is to 10. And as long as you do that, then you're fine. And as long as you do your 10 minutes of gratitude, you can tick that box. And then it's like 10 minutes of meditation.
Yeah.
And it could be 10 minutes of reflective journaling. And it could be 10 minutes of just being
Yeah.
in silence. It can be 10 minutes where you sit and read a book.
Yeah. I love it. And even
And
set a timer, isn't it?
and the thing about it is just building up little habits that would, over a period of time, would have a huge impact on the quality of your life. And it's not about the the amount of time. It's about the consistency of the practice.
That makes a lot of sense because, like, for example, I suppose just take a marathon as an example.
Mm,
If I said to someone, okay, we're going to do a marathon, that sounds daunting saying if we haven't done any movement or any
yeah,
walking, not to mention running, not, anything
yeah,
like that. To go, how am I going to do that? But again, I suppose by putting one foot in front of the other, and you might say, oh, look, I'll build up getting out. Maybe
yeah.
you're doing a park walk. It could be the 5 kilometers. And
Y-
to not done anything like that, to now be doing that is huge.
Huge, absolutely.
Do we need to see the whole
Yeah.
picture? Not at all.
Absolutely. I have one of my clients who runs marathons. She'd run the New York Marathon a few
Yeah. Oh,
times in
that's
London.
incredible. Wow. Yeah.
And like that, she said it started with running 3 kilometers
Yeah. It's
and
incredible, isn't
then
it? How it,
building it to four over and then building it to five and then build
yeah.
she did, no one walks in the day of the marathon and runs it.
Yeah.
They have been training and in practice and in consistent practice for the whole year beforehand.
Yeah, it's the
You know.
groundwork, isn't it? Sometimes we might see the end result, but we don't see, it's kind of like a tree, isn't it? Or a flower. You see the
Yeah,
beautiful flower after growing. But what about the roots? What about all that work that's after going on?
absolutely. Yeah.
Do we see
Think of
it?
the oak tree with the deepest roots. The reason it can grow so high is because it has the deepest roots. It's all the groundwork that it's done underneath it, like to get it there. But it's the consistency. I think that's probably one of the biggest problems that a lot of people have is great at starting, not great at finishing. I know that was me. That is still me. I'll be honest. I think
Me too,
it's a work in progress, but
Yeah.
getting better at it because I'm
Yeah.
more aware of it. And
Consciously,
then
yeah.
and also if you fall off the wagon, if you're on a we just say on a diet for instance, and you go off for the weekend with the girls and you go and you,
Yeah.
it's to not say, oh, I've broke it now and give up. It's to start
Yeah.
again on
Absolutely.
Monday. And but
Yeah.
that's what it is. That's what starting again is. It's about not giving up.
Yeah.
It's about saying, it doesn't matter what happened last week, doesn't matter what happened the weekend. I loved it, it was great crack. I'm starting again.
Yeah.
I'm
Whereas
getting
before
back
I'd have
into it.
waited. I'd have said, oh, sure, they got a great weekend. Sure, look, okay, I might as well just snack now. I might as well, whatever, one day,
Yeah,
2 days. And next minute you're gone down a different rabbit hole. Oh,
yeah.
sure, I'll just continue with this. I'll start
Oh,
Monday.
sure,
I'll
what's the
start
point? And what's
Tuesday.
the point? Yeah,
There's
yeah,
another.
yeah.
There's an event, there's this, but instead of finding the excuses, find the reasons as to why to start looking at the positive. Okay, I'm going to feel good. It's going to benefit me. If we can
Yeah.
look at it from a visual and look from the positive aspects of how is
And
it going to be a good thing
yeah,
instead of going, feeling deprived because you're starting that or whatever.
yeah. And
So
that's why
true. God, come here. I'm after
having
learning so much
yeah,
more. It's great.
yeah, but that's why
No,
having
it's
a goal.
brilliant.
You were saying there something very valid. It's
Oh,
about,
okay.
why am I doing this? Why did I bother getting back? Why did I get start up again?
Yeah,
It's if you have a goal to get healthy, that goal never changes just because you had a bad weekend.
it's
Like
true.
people have someone's building a house and they have the foundations in, the weather breaks, and they can't touch it for a month. No one says, "Oh, I just think we won't bother with the house now."
Yeah. Oh, it's too late
You
for
know what
this.
I mean? It just
Umbrella.
as soon as you just pick back up on a Monday morning, and go right. It is what it is. It's done. Get back, and no matter what it is, even if it's going to the gym and maybe you had an injury and you didn't go
Yeah.
for a month because you couldn't, that's not a reason not to start again. Every morning, if you can remember one thing, every morning is an opportunity for you to start again, no matter
That's so
what
cute.
happened. And it's never ever ever too late. I think it was last year we had a 92-year-old graduate from the university here in Waterford, having gone back
Incredible.
to education. There's a few years ago, I saw this where there was a 90-year-old woman still teaching yoga classes in New York. Like
Incredible.
age has nothing got to do with this. Some of the greatest businesses and inventions and creations in the world were done by people from 60 upwards. You
So
have no
there's, yeah.
excuse. No excuse. You know, whatever excuse you have, it's only one that you're giving yourself to stop yourself from doing it. Because,
Well, I've
you
heard
know,
life begins at 40 anyway.
oh, life begins every morning.
It's so true.
Every morning. And
I'm
like,
loving that. That's a new adoption
we've
name.
seen people who have been injured, who have gone through, have been left with certain, and then they just find another way around it to get back out there and live life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely
So,
incredible. I'm like, there's so much in this. It's incredible.
oh,
And
yeah,
actually, It just reminded me of one, like my own grandmother, actually, one of the things she happened to say at times. And, you take it with a pinch of salt, you mightn't absorb it, but now it's really resonating and it's coming up for reasons today, I believe.
Yeah,
But what she said to me once, she said, Karen, age is just a number.
yeah,
And you know what? And that can be looked at in a very positive light. Age is just a
yeah,
number.
absolutely.
I mean, we put all these things out there to not do it, but if we get beyond that or somebody else's fears, because they're going from, telling us from where they're at, maybe
Yeah,
helping, just doing it from where we're at.
yeah.
So true.
Yeah, it's one of those things to look at in life. It's like, whose fear is it really? Where did I learn this fear from?
Yeah. Is it ancestral? Is it in the
Yeah,
environment? Is it,
yeah. And when you sit with you kind of go, actually, I'm afraid my mother or my father was always afraid to put himself out there in case X or Y or or I heard something being said about, oh, if you get rich people are mean, and so I'm afraid to go after that in case someone thinks I'm mean. And then you realize, actually, I don't believe that.
it's true, isn't
You
it?
know,
Yeah.
and then you can go, then I have a choice here. I either continue believing that or I change my belief, which is part of changing my identity.
So powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause I do
Yeah.
believe, I mean, okay, I know there can be a lot of things going on, and in media, it'll only show us one side, but there's a lot of good out there, and I believe that should be recognized. And it is
Yeah.
there, and the more you zone in, the more you can see it. It could be
Yeah.
somebody smiling, it could be somebody holding a door open, it could somebody just chatting to us in the queue, just
Uh,
those little things.
and that's why I always say, start with gratitude,
Yeah,
because gratitude helps you to see all the good in the world.
powerful. And I do have my own journal. You're just reminding me to journal now. And even if it's
Yeah.
three things I'm grateful for every day, every night,
Yeah.
just whatever it is. Maybe
Yeah.
more, the list will go on when we focus. The fact that we're
Oh,
getting
oh,
back
that's it. See,
to,
once you start, I remember I was doing gratitude challenges, and people said, 10 things every day.
am I
And I
going
was
to come
going,
up with this initially?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah. And then, but I was thinking, but like, think about your body, just your body alone. You
Yeah.
have your sight. Are you grateful for
Huge.
that? Do you have your
100%.
hearing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you walk? Can you use your arms and legs? Yeah. I said, do you know that there's millions of people in the world who can't do, they haven't got their sight, they haven't got their
Huge.
hearing, they can't get out of the bed in the morning, they're being left, maybe paralyzed from the waist down and the neck down, and then they'll never walk again. So things that we take for granted,
Yeah.
you know, like all through the winter and all through the wet, I'm kind of thinking how grateful I am to have a home. How
So
grateful I
important.
am to have a
Yeah.
roof over my head, to a bed to sleep in that I can call my own. You know,
Huge.
things that we take for granted every day.
Until something comes up that you realize what you had. If you have a sore hand, for instance, you realize,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
but do we zone in on that as much? But to be aware of it consciously and,
yeah,
as you say, be grateful
yeah.
for it.
It's just, and there is an old saying or something, I'm paraphrasing now, but if
Yeah.
we are grateful for the little things, we'll be given bigger. But if we
So true.
can't see the little things, we'll never be able to see the big things either. You know what I
So
mean?
true, isn't it? It all comes
Yeah,
back to in giving, we receive as well,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
It's just so like that whole concept.
Oh yeah, and that's the law of cause and effect. And the law of cause and
Yeah,
effect is
cause
the
and effect,
universal
yeah.
law of laws. It's the law. If you look at every law, it'll always come back to the foundation of what goes out comes back.
So powerful,
You
isn't
know?
it?
Yeah,
So what we're giving out, if we're giving out good energy, we're being nice about stuff, we're
yeah,
equally receiving that, isn't it? 'Cause we're not
absolutely. And
yeah.
if you go out into the day looking for wonderful things, I was listening to one of the Williams sisters. I can't remember which one it was. She's
Yeah.
been interviewed, and she was saying to the girl that she's big into her positivity, and she started to think of something wonderful is going to happen today, and it kind of joking about it, but funnily enough, said, you know, someone let me off of the lights, and I went, oh, that's a wonderful thing that happened today, and she
I
said
think it really is.
it just grew, and I come, something wonderful is going to happen, and then every day wonderful things happen, and it wasn't that wonderful thing was like, oh my God, I won the lotto. It was like the little wonderful things, and she said, within a couple of months, I was able to go, my Jade, my life is wonderful. Because all these wonderful things happen every day. Why? Because she went looking for wonderful things to happen. She went out with the intention that something wonderful was going to happen, and the universe had to give her something wonderful.
And it's
Yeah.
just amazing, like, isn't it? Just those
Yeah.
little things. Like I was working somewhere during the week up the country now as well, and I was just so blessed. The guys were just everyone was so welcoming. You've those like lovely
Yeah.
interactions. Anyway, it's nice. And I said, "Oh, look, come in and have some coffee or tea." And we have our coffee machine and work away, or
Yeah.
and even that I was like, "This is incredible." But
Yeah.
just to have that alone, and we actually had a rare day of blue sky, and when you've the rain, it makes grass green, I suppose. But
Yeah.
it's
But
just
yeah,
as you say, the little
it's
things like that, little
yeah.
wins.
Yeah. It's recognizing when we start to look for the good things and to give gratitude for it. I remember one girl said, "I'm going to have to look for things to be grateful for now," and that's
Absolutely, yeah.
exactly it. That's exactly it. And
Yeah.
so she said, when I went looking for it, it was like the person who let me off at the lights, so I was on time for work. It was like that I got the last packet of something in the shop when I went in.
Yeah, it's
And then
amazing,
I
like
kind of
those
went,
things, yeah.
actually, yeah. So should then I thought, I'm going to go look for more things tomorrow. And I went, "But that's exactly it. What you look for, you'll find."
Because
You
you're on
know?
that frequency, you're
Yeah,
focusing in on it, isn't it?
yeah,
Like, and that's so
yeah.
powerful. And I suppose, Caroline, like in general, if you were to, I suppose for the listeners and people watching at the moment now as well,
Mm.
what would I know there's so many messages and there's so many lovely things to read and look up as well, because I'm making notes of it. What, like, I suppose to summarize it, what would you like today's listeners and viewers to retain from this? Like, what would the key message be from you?
The key thing is that you can, no matter what's happened, no matter where you are, no matter what you're going through, that you can start again tomorrow morning.
I love that.
You
Start
can just
again.
you can start again. And like for anyone who maybe is in college and has failed exams, or is in a relationship that's fallen apart, or is in a business that's not going well, it is not the end. There is no end unless you decide there is. So you
Lovely.
can just kind of go, right, what can I do tomorrow to start again? And remember, you've starting again a wiser person than you were the last time you started, because you've learned so much. You know yourself better. You know what you want. You know what you don't want better. Sometimes the best lesson we can learn is discovering what we don't want,
So
because
true.
or you had a vision or you had an idea about what you did want, and then you got it and you went, um, hmm,
Not what I thought it would
not what I
be.
thought it
Yeah.
would be. And
Believe
it's
me,
like,
I'm dealing
but
with a lot of
and the
stuff.
thing about it, sometimes we feel
Yeah.
like, well, it's what I asked for, so I have to take it.
Oh
Actually,
yeah,
you
that was me
don't.
as well. I went like deeper in the rabbit hole in one or two careers, and I went,
Yeah,
actually, no, and I just
yeah.
left it.
And it's
Consider,
you kind of go, do you know
Yeah.
what? But what did I? And all you can go is, right, okay, so this isn't for me. I've learned. The first thing I've realized, this isn't for me. Second thing is, I've learned an awful lot on this journey, and all I have to do is take everything I've learned
Yeah.
and bring it to the next part of my journey.
Yeah. I love that. Next
And
chapter.
be grateful for what I went through, because I've learned and I've grown. I'm a different person now. I've more skills, I've more understanding, I've more knowledge, I've more qualifications, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So I'm going into this next chapter of my life a different person. And I have an analogy that I think I it works for me.
Yeah. Please
that
share.
our
I'm just like,
our life is a
yeah.
trilogy of books. In the first book, we don't have any. We're only a character in the book. We have no say in it whatsoever. We just follow the story, and we just go with the flow. Somebody else is writing that book. In our second book, which would be, I would say, our mid-20s to our mid-40s, definitely the first half of that book we didn't have any part in it, but the second half we are co-authoring that part. But the third book is our book,
Love that.
and any word that we put on it, we take full responsibility for, whether that be
Powerful.
good or bad, because we write that book, and we can sit and write that story. And I am a firm believer in, I think you've done vision boards. You've done a vision
Oh,
board before, yeah.
yes. And you know what? Some
Like,
of them, I've had the exact picture. One of the cars, I just
yeah,
had it from a printout and I was focusing on it. And it
yeah.
turned out I actually bought that exact car with the reg at the time. Yeah.
Oh
It,
my God, I
it
love
worked.
it.
I
I love
swear.
it.
Yeah. That is
Because
it. It works.
and that is what I would call you writing the script of that's the car I want. And I've had
Yeah.
somebody else very similar story. But when we know what we want and we write the script about it,
Yeah.
then we bring it. It may come suddenly and it may come in a year's time or whatever, but it comes if it's part of the story you're writing. But what you have to remember is you have to write the story first of all.
Yeah.
You have to create it. You have to know what to put into it. But you take responsibility for it and go, I get to choose what happens now.
So
I'm
powerful,
no
isn't it?
longer a character. I'm the author, but I'm also the lead character. So I get to do all the good stuff here.
And that's true, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
we have to be the lead character in our
Yeah.
own lives. I mean, are we a backing actor or actress? You don't
Yeah.
know. We should
Are we
be,
allowing somebody else to dictate what
yeah,
we do? Yeah. And it's,
huge.
and there's all those phrases. Are you the driver or the passenger in the car of your life? So, and it
Absolutely,
really
yeah.
is. And it's about realizing that you actually, you get a choice.
It's
Yesterday you were
powerful.
yesterday you were the passenger. Today you're starting as the driver.
I
You know?
totally love all these analogies, and even
Yeah.
with the acting one now as well.
Yeah.
I'm sort of an opportunity came up a few years ago, and long story short, I'm back acting, and I'm loving
Oh,
it.
I love it.
The things that
Brilliant.
you resonate. I just said,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
totally so true.
And
It's
that's where I'm saying where we
yeah,
are, it doesn't always have to be a change of career or change of relationship or change of house. It
sure.
could be remembering to do the things that fill you with joy. And
That's
then that
exactly yeah.
joy changes your energy and your attitude, which then changes everything else around you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's just powerful,
Yeah.
Caroline. And I'd say people are listening now and watching and going, this is great. There's so much information. It's fantastic. We're going to, reach through this. We're going to re-listen. We're going to make notes, guaranteed. I
Mm,
know I have as well. And I'm going
mm.
to re-listen to what you're saying and just, atomic habits and you name it, the list there. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh,
Huge.
there are brilliant, like essentially they're all teaching the same thing. But what I've really honed in on is what you do every day is the
Yes.
foundation to building on. If you have those daily habits that build a strong foundation, then you can build anything you want on it.
That is absolutely
Yeah.
incredible. And that is a lovely way to summarize it. And
Mm.
Caroline, if people want to reach out to you now as well and learn more from you, I mean, where can they reach out to you? Are you doing any
The probably
lately
the
or
easiest places to
yeah,
get me on social media. I'm at Caroline Caffrey Coaching, or on my own personal page, and that. And while I have no space left in my coaching program at the moment, it's full at the moment. It will be reopening in the summertime, and that. And I do a
fantastic.
6 month and a 12 month package, and that
Excellent.
where I work with a small group of people on a one-to-one basis, and that. So,
Incredible. So they
um,
get the nice extra intimate
yeah, I'm a
one-to-one
nosy
person.
person. I like to get into your life, and yeah,
Find out
yeah.
everything. What's your detail? What's your car? Are you the passenger? Are you driving?
Yeah, yeah, no, I like that connection with people and
Huge.
to create around what their specific needs are. Having done group work for a long time, and groups
Yeah,
are brilliant,
of
but
course, as well.
sometimes people get lost in a group. If you're not a confident enough person to ask for what you need, you end up almost falling off it and not being
Yeah,
part of
just
it. You know what I mean? So,
of course. The
um,
one-to-one
yeah.
approach is fantastic as well. I feel like
Well,
it's
it's right now it's working for me. So
amazing.
yeah, so that's what I'm doing that, and then of course I still do my readings and I don't do my therapies as much at the moment because I'm just busy, but I do the
Yeah,
readings and the coaching and that.
that's amazing. And then, as you say, not right now, but in the timing wherever it aligns as
Yeah,
well. So it's so
yeah,
important.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
Practice what you preach, clearly.
yeah, I suppose one of the things that again with the starting over is not to overwhelm and not to overload and remember to pay attention to boundaries and values
Mhm.
and what are my core in principles and where do I want to impact the most. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Caroline, that's been amazing, honestly, and thank you so much. I
You
feel
are
so
so
blessed and
welcome.
honored to have had you on. Honestly, it's been such
It
an incredible conversation. It's so
Thank you
great.
for having me. It's been a wonderful conversation. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. And just shout out as well to everyone listening in or watching as well. Just a reminder as well that you're all truly extraordinary in your own unique way. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thanks.
Okay.